Hello and welcome to the preview show from RamsTV. The international break is over and Derby County return to action this afternoon at Pride Park Stadium. The Rams hosting Portsmouth, the only side left in League One yet to lose so far this season. More on the visitors a little later, but we'll focus on Derby for now. Here's a reminder of results so far. 3 wins and 3 defeats from their opening 6 in the league. 2 of those defeats have come at home, with Wigan and Oxford both winning at Pride Park. Although it may be worth noting that all Derby's defeats have come by just a single goal. That includes defeat at Bolton a fortnight ago when Derby were on the wrong end of some questionable decisions. They also lost Jake Rooney to a serious injury early in the first half. Liam Thompson has been added to the injured list as well. Head coach Paul Warne has been giving us some details on both.
Yeah, well, I'll do Tomo first because his happened first. Unfortunately for Tomo, he'd worked really well off pre-season, close season, got himself in really good shape, played a lot of games pre-season, played out of position, but was excellent, forced his way in through his performances in training into the team, done really well, and in fairness was probably our standout performer. So to lose him was a massive blow, and if you said to me about a player who's to get a muscle injury, he would have been my lowest, I think, because he's very fit and resilient and has been. So it was disappointing. It was only about 10, 15 minutes into the main part of the session, and it was a bit of shape, and he got the ball under his feet in on goal, got the ball under his feet, but shot with his left foot, but it was sort of caught and pulled the top of his quad. So, straight away as a manager, coach, a fan, as soon as someone, like the same with Jake, and I'll speak about in a minute, as soon as they put their hand up, you think there's trouble. This isn't, one of them 16 rolls one way, 3 the other, and there's nothing wrong with you. It was a proper... So as soon as he went like that and went straight off the pitch, I knew there was problems, and then the physios told me, look, it looks pretty serious. And then with the scan, and then it came back with a pretty severe tear at the top of his, that's my Norfolk accent, sorry, at the top of his thigh. And he's out from when he done it, maybe 8 to 10 weeks. So it's a massive blow. And when you say 8 to 10 weeks, you then got to get match fit and everything else. So, so I don't think we'll possibly see him on the pitch till, I don't know, end of November time.
And what about Jake Rooney? What's the latest on him?
Well, Jake's, the worst case scenario really, done his cruciate. So, again, it was innocuous. I don't know if anyone was behind it. I mean, I spoke to his dad at the training ground the other day, and he said as soon as his son did it, it's like initially, I don't know how you feel as a parent watching his son get injured, but, straight away you have that awful feeling. As soon as he went down, I thought, oh my God, I thought he's either broke his leg or he'd done his knee, because of the way he went down, I could see from the distance, again, it was really innocuous. He was trying to drag the ball back sort of thing. But, so I had to let the swelling come down. He went to see a surgeon yesterday because they have to give it a bit of time for the swelling. And he'll have an operation next week, and, whether he'll get back at all this season, hopefully he will. And I'm not trying to put it out there in case he watches this and thinks, oh, cheers, Gaffer, but it is a long-term injury, and it will be a long road for him, and he'll have some dark moments, bless him. But he's got a really supportive team and good friends in the dressing room will help him through it. But it's a massive blow. I think Jake's been brilliant again. And it's hard for young lads to find their way in the game. It isn't easy. It's just not, even though you could give him a pro contract, you've got to get through some really senior pros to get in. Then when you get in, you have to perform to stay in. And then when you stay in, you get 8, 9, 10 games in, it's yours, really. And it's really hard for Jake, and it's really sad, but he'll come back stronger and better, and there's no excuse that he doesn't come back. I'm not saying he's going to come back like He-Man, but he can work on his upper body and core and get himself in a really good shape for hopefully a really good career after it. But I'm really disappointed for him. He's a great kid, as is Tomo, and it's heartbreaking when you see him get injured.
A fortnight since your last game, you ended up having an international break. Was it useful?
Oh, it's ace. I love an international break. And it's probably not great for a fan to hear, but from a pressure keg point of view, we had a few injuries. They're sort of coming back, so it's nice just to have a break from it. And even more so because it's sort of like a Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday and all that. So it is chaotic. So it's good to get a few bodies back. It was nice to have some time on the training pitch without the not so much the pressure of a game, but the physical pressure of the game, as in, if you know you're playing in 3 days' time, you can train the lads so much, but you don't want to fatigue them. You want them to be football fresh. But when you know there isn't a game, you can train them a little bit harder and do a little bit more, because if they go home tired, like boo-hoo, it's the way it is, isn't it? So that's what I like. You get a good couple of weeks training. We had a game amongst ourselves. We've been able to put some work into Kane, into Tom, into Sibs, although they're still a little bit off. Obviously, Elliot's now in the building, so he's played 45 minutes, so he's getting closer. Trying to think who else benefited. Obviously, Tyrese Forner has spent more time with the lads on the training pitch, as has JJ. So in that respect, it's been really useful that they can train in not a relaxed environment, but without the gaffer's naming the team tomorrow or this or this. It's just a good way to train for a couple of weeks and prepare us for a good section of games that, you know, we need to get some wins in.
Derby head coach Paul Warne there. Well, it has been a fortnight since Derby's last outing, and it is still early in the season, of course. Just 6 games played so far. We've been taking stock of things with the Derby Telegraph's chief football writer, Lee Curtis.
I think it's been up and down. I think we've seen the good, we've seen the bad, we've seen a bit of the ugly. I kind of expect that in the early stages of the season. A lot of new players have come in, so it's still taking time to settle in. But listen, I thought Derby were magnificent against Peterborough, utterly ruthless, and I think that showed you what this team is actually capable of. And I thought they were excellent in the second half against Burton, but conversely, you had the performances against Bolton where I thought they could have played a lot better, the game against Oxford. So I think the one thing with Derby is just striving for consistency. That's my opinion. I think, they've had a very, very tough start. They've played a lot of the sides who you'd expect to be up there come the end of the season. So 3 wins, 3 losses, that tells me that things are going up and down. So I just think the team needs to try and find that consistency, try and put a run together, because looking at the league table, I think there's only one team that's unbeaten in Portsmouth, and they've had 3 wins, 3 draws. Usually you expect 2 or 3 teams to start to run away with it at this stage of the season. If you look back last year, you had Plymouth, you had Sheffield Wednesday, you had Ipswich as well, did really well. So listen, it's still very, very congested early on, and I think once you sort of get around to the 10-game mark, that's when the league truly starts to take shape, using a very old cliche.
Well, I was going to ask you about exactly that cliche. You buy into it then? You think after 10, that is the stage where you can start to see and think, okay, this is what we've got here?
Yeah, because you have to bear in mind a lot of teams have made a lot of changes in the summer in terms of personnel, players coming in. In Derby's case, they've had a lot of injuries too. I know Portsmouth have got a lot of injuries. So, there have been some surprise results. I didn't expect Oxford to lose against Port Vale. I thought Oxford, when they came to Derby, were absolutely superb. But then they go and lose at home to a team that you wouldn't expect them to lose to. So I think the division is going to be very up and down this season. I maintain I don't think there's a real standout team this year. If you looked at last year, you would have thought Ipswich and Sheffield Wednesday would be up there. But I think the division this year is a much of a muchness. And I think it will be not necessarily the best team. I think it will be the most consistent team. And that team that's able to grind out results when they're not playing particularly well.
On an individual standpoint, has anybody really impressed, really jumped out for you from this Derby side so far?
Well, yeah, 2 of them. They both got injured. I should not mention anymore. I thought Jake Rooney was brilliant when he came into the team. I'm absolutely devastated for him, because I think he's got all the hallmarks of a player who I think could go on to have a brilliant career. I love his composure, and I was absolutely mortified of the fact that he's ruptured his ACL, because it's very hard to come back from those injuries. It takes a long time. It's a long process. And I think it's as much about mentally as physically when you're on the sidelines for that long. So, I'm sure everybody here will send him our best wishes. Liam Thompson, terrific against Fleetwood, even better against Peterborough. I thought he added much needed legs and energy to the midfield. So absolutely gutted for him that he's out for 8 weeks now. So those 2 have really stood out. I thought Joe Ward was really good, but then he got injured as well. So But of course, saying that, Martin Walgon has been brilliant. I thought his hat-trick against Peterborough was incredible, really. I thought it showed an array of quality finishing, and he looks to be sort of almost like that David McGoldrick replacement in terms of experience, just having that quality understanding at the top end of the pitch where he can perhaps see things that others can't.
Yeah, it seems to be this season's Didsey for sure. And you mentioned it earlier. You talked about the tough start that Derby have had, particularly with a couple of sides that they've played that are expected to be there or thereabouts. Portsmouth have started really well. Do you think they're going to be up there?
I would expect them to be, but I didn't realise until I read this the other day, and I'm going off what I read from their press, is that they've been unbeaten across 17 games from the back end of last season to this one. So it's a hell of a run, really. And they've made a few changes in the summer as well. I know that Gavin White is a winger. He's struggling with a knee injury, although reading between the lines from his comments, the manager's comments yesterday, I think he will be involved. I think there's a bit of codology there. But I think they have got a lot of right parts in all the right places, which tends to be the case. You know, if you're going to be up there, you need square pegs in square holes. So I think that they will be up there. But listen, I think Derby have got more than enough in this team to be challenging for promotion this year. I just hope that I think we just need a little bit of patience in terms of the players like Tyrese Forner, who haven't played a lot before coming to Derby, same with Tyrese John Jules. They'll just need a little bit of time to get up to match sharpness. But I thought those two signings were really good. I like the fact that we've gone and got Embleton from Sunderland, because I've heard a lot of good things about him. So that gives that competition for places in midfield. If I had one concern, it's Nat, not through the fact that he's not playing particularly well. It's more the fact that we haven't really got any kind of players of his ilk. So if he gets injured, we haven't got that sort of player with pace and ability in 1v1 domination. So it's almost like hopefully he can be wrapped up in cotton wool, because when he's on song, he is undoubtedly, in my opinion, the best wide player in this division to watch. I love watching him. As a journalist, you want those players who get you off your seat, and he does that. And hopefully he can find a bit of form in the next few weeks.
That's Lee Curtis from the Derby Telegraph, and yeah, that is some record for Portsmouth, who haven't lost in the league going all the way back to March. Well, Derby are looking to get on a run after an inconsistent start to the season. We've been talking to defender Callum Elder, who says he's ready to go after the international break.
I felt it came at a good time, to be fair. Just because, like I said, we've gotten through that first sort of block of games in the season. We were able to sit down collectively as a group and look at the areas that we've fell short on in the first sort of month to 6 weeks of games. It's allowed the coaching staff to place their ideas into us on where they feel we can improve. And, we've had a good block of training where we've been able to do that. And, hopefully, as we move forward, this block will be pivotal to us as we go into the next group of games.
What do you do in your spare time, your days off? How do you spend them?
Mix of, I love my golf, but obviously a bit of a strenuous sport. So, you've got to pick your moments when to play golf. We had a day where the staff and players were able to get out one of the training days last week after training. So, that was important. The staff love their golf as well. So, that'd be a big sort of hobby of mine outside of football, seeing friends, nothing too fancy.
There's a stereotype of Australians that you're all into sort of all sports. Are you that way? I mean, are you watching the cricket? Are you following the Rugby World Cup? That sort of thing?
Yeah, it's something that you're embedded with from a real young age. I think it's just because Australia is one of them countries where they're competitive in nearly all sports they compete in. So from a young age, you're even individual two-team sports, you're looking at the best tennis players, just gone, and your athletes at the Olympics, and obviously the Rugby World Cup's on at the minute. So sport's always been a big part of my life from a young age, and I think it always will be, to be fair. I love all codes of sport, so I'll always keep an eye on to see how Australia are doing.
Was it always football for you, or were there other things that you could have gone in different directions?
I think it was always football. But it was certainly, I think the best thing you could say was, in Australia, you're exposed if you want to go down any route of sport, the opportunity is there for you. And, you know, I played cricket in the summer, football in the winter. That was sort of my yearly rota. But it was always football as I sort of got older. And, you know, as you get older, you can really only play in one sport. So you need to dedicate your time to one of them, and that was football.
Bringing things back to the here and now and to Saturday, how important is it that you start and get on a run at home? Because I think that's been the biggest frustration so far. Yeah,
100%. I think, you know, if we were to reflect on some of the games this season, I think at crucial moments we've nearly been there. You know, and the managers sort of spoke to us multiple times, you know, after games and during this break to reiterate the point that, like you just said in the question, this is the here and now. We've got the opportunity to do something really good, but we need to stamp our authority now, not next week, not in a month, not in 3 months, because, you know, we'll all be looking at each other and the season will be 6 weeks away from being finished. So as we move forward, it's really important that we stamp our sort of authority on this league. We've got a great group of players, we've got a great coaching staff, we're all in it together. But I think now's an important time where, you know, we show our qualities and we show our strength in this division.
That's Callum Elder there. Everyone back in action in League One today. There were only 2 matches last Saturday in the end, with Leyton Orient winning at Exeter and Stevenage drawing at home to Carlisle. Stevenage atop, partly thanks to having played that extra game. They host Charlton today. Elsewhere, Bolton visit Reading, who had more points deducted for financial issues this week. And Oxford go to Fleetwood, who appointed Lee Johnson as their new manager over the break. Port Vale have started well too. They're at home to Northampton today. And at Pride Park Stadium, Derby County welcome Portsmouth. Matchday Live will be with you from 2:30 with Michael Weedock alongside Sean Barker. Overseas viewers can get their Game Pass now at dcfc.co.uk. Goodbye.